Like and subscribe or this will be in your room tonight when you try to go to bed. Don't risk it. r/ProRevenge. Stories of people getting back at someone with pro-revenge after being wronged. Enjoy. Falsely accuse me and withhold my pay. Say goodbye to your business. So this happened a little bit ago at my first job. TLDR at the bottom. I worked at a small local spa company. There was only about 6 workers there. I worked there for a year and a half and only met the owner once but talked to them in the phone a lot. She was bat crazy, but that's besides the point. Anyways, I got hired because my friend's mom, P, was the manager and someone had quit in the middle of their shift so they needed someone fast. I worked really well there and learned very fast. I was very good at the job to the point where after a couple of months they sent new hires to be trained by me. Turnover here was bad. Despite this, I didn't get a raise or anything. It wasn't a big deal, but it would have been nice. Anyways, I was always a closer. There would be a list of things I had to do after we closed like vacuum and dust and such. Janitorial things. As months go by, P begins to pick apart things. A string was left on the rug. The candy bowls weren't filled, even though they weren't even half gone, etc. Nothing too big, but they made it seem like I liked their mother. Slowly things started to get worse. Eventually I was being told that I was not cleaning rooms that I know for a fact I had. Now I admit that once in a while I would forget to clean something, but I was getting yelled at for things I knew for a fact I cleaned. My other problem was that when my co-workers would forget the same exact things she wouldn't yell at them, but would just say try to remember or something along those lines. Eventually P got other co-workers to lie so that she could report me to the owner. Many days I came right from school and would be wearing jeans. P left right when I got there so after I clocked in and counted the drawer, I would go and change into my work pants. While other co-workers would lie and tell her I never changed. After this, I began taking pictures and time-stamping them. This worked for a little while, but then my co-workers would say I changed back into jeans after that picture, and when it came to cleaning she would say I didn't clean it well enough, etc. All of these would get turned into the owner, but she wouldn't fire me because they were so desperate for people and no one wanted to work there. I wonder why. Eventually I quit because I had a job for the summer that gave me a lot more hours. In my summer job I made the same amount of money in 7 weeks that I made in a year at the last place. Right after I left I learned why P wanted me gone so bad. P hired her son, my ex-friend, because he was too lazy to work a job where he couldn't sit around all day. That made me mad, but what also made me and is that they wouldn't give me my last payment. We were paid in cash. I sent multiple emails and text messages to P and the owner that reminded them and then threatened legal action. Being a high schooler I don't believe they thought I would do anything. How wrong they were. Well, there were many reasons I was about this and so I decided I'd document every single thing about it at that place. These include 8+ hour work day with no breaks or a lunch, both of which are required in my state. Dart rats in the basement and infestation, fake security cameras allowing underage drinking, P faking the amount of money we had to pay her son and daughter for under the table work, child labor. P's daughter was not old enough to work, not fixing things like building framework, mold, etc. allowing temperatures to go above and below the legal limit. On bad days it was above 100 or below 50 inside. Dart drug use, P giving themselves a raise, even though they already made more than everyone else. They're selling client information. P compiling clients for another worker to take with them to a new company. Usually not illegal, but the way they went about it was. I don't remember the exact details. Not doing anything about harassment, not paying workers. There'd be days where we didn't have enough money in the drawer and the owner and or P were too lazy to go to the bank, so they would just straight up not pay us. Not only this, but prior to me leaving, I recorded some of the verbal abuse from P, believe it or not. I even got them to admit to making false write-ups on me. There was more, but I can't remember what else right now. Anyways, I compiled all of this and sent it in an email to Washer. Shit went down. In the end, both P and the owner were served with some hefty fines, and P is even facing jail time right now for fraud. The owner had to shut down their business and sell it. I don't know if the owner is facing any jail time. I emailed every spa within 50 miles to the owner, P, and some co-workers have been blacklisted from working within an hour of where we're located. I never did receive my last payment. It wasn't worth going to court over, but what came out of it was so much better. TL. Doctor, my first job made false claims against me to try to get me fired, and when I finally left they hired the manager's lazy son and withheld my paycheck, so I reported them to the state and blacklisted them from every spa in a 50-mile radius. Boy, that was satisfying. I used to work at Colston Creamery when I was in high school. I was a good worker, never missed shifts, covered for other people since it was so close to my house. Then one day I asked for a week off in October during winter break to go on a cruise with my parents. They said nothing until the week before I was scheduled to set sail. I reminded them that I was going to be off next week and that they shouldn't put me on the schedule because I would be in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico and the Bahamas. On my last day, they told me that I should turn in my apron, shirt, and badge. I asked them if I was being fired. They said no, we just have shortage of aprons and shirts. You can get them when you come back. The following week after I came back, I went to the store to get my stuff back to start working when the other manager said that I had been fired the day I turned in my apron. I was so angry but held it in and asked for my paycheck. The way paychecks worked at our store was we would get them every 2 weeks on Friday after 5 p.m. She went to the back and said that they have no record of me working any time during the last 2 weeks, which was a lie. I left and called the owner, who had 2 stores, with no reply. The following day I called back the store and asked to speak to the manager. Then started what would be a game of hello, hello. Every time I would call, I would say who I am. The minute I did that, they would start acting as though they couldn't hear me, even though they could hear me just fine moments ago. The first time this happened, I thought maybe the phone wasn't working. I tried my cell phone, the landline, my dad's phone, and my mom's phone. Each time, when I said my name, they would pretend. After a month of this I got fed up. You see, the store owner for both stores was extremely greedy to the point that she would take X% of our tips for herself and would pay us below minimum wage until we took a test, which would never happen because the shop is too busy with 2 customers and 5 employees. So I started developing a plan. The owner was so greedy that if we needed to use the restroom, she would make us clock out before leaving and clock in after coming back because she didn't want to pay us for that time. She would also never schedule shifts that were greater than 6 hours so that she wouldn't be obligated to give us breaks as mandated by state law. If someone ordered an ice cream and wandered away, it happened a lot, especially with families that had children. She would make us put it in the freezer and she would take it home for her family. So I started writing down all the stuff which I thought broke the law so that I could submit it to the Iowa Division of Labor. Then, the second store that the owner had shut down. When I saw this in the news, I knew this was my time to strike. BTW, it was about 3 months after I was fired that the store shut down. I sent the document and evidence to the Iowa Division of Labor tip line. They started an investigation 4 months later in August. The store owner was fined for violating employee rights. It turns out, under OSHA and the Fair Labor Standards Act, employers are required to pay their employees for any breaks under 20 minutes. The 2 store managers were fired and the owner sold the store to another franchise owner. I love Colston ice cream but refuse to buy it from that store, which makes it difficult because that is the only store in our city. A greedy store owner lost her store and had to pay a fine because she was greedy and wanted all the money she could get her hands on. All of this happened because they fired me without cause and withheld my $30 paycheck. I don't have money, but you still deserve a gold. Spaghetti girl, sell a broken laptop to my kid, lie to me, threaten me, as you wish. Hi Reddit. This happened a few years ago on Facebook Marketplace to my dad. I'm the kid. My dad told me this story about 1 week ago, when I asked why my birthday present a few years ago disappeared in mysterious ways. Oh boy, was I not prepared for that. Lots of backstory. I was around 13 at the time, now 19. I was hooked on Minecraft and me and my dad spent quite some time on the Xbox 360 version. I got good grades in school, so he decided it was time for us to switch to PC. He already had a pretty good PC for his work as a programmer and IT administrator, and he wanted to get me a cheap laptop. We had a hard time and almost no money, so it had to be cheap and used. He saw an offer on Facebook Marketplace from a girl he and my mother met at a club he was jing at a few years back. Let's call her Spaghetti Girl. She was selling lots of stuff because she moved in with her boyfriend and her kids. Among that stuff was a cheap laptop. Nothing fancy. Pretty scuffed and only the network port didn't work according to her. No big deal, and for 50 euros, $54 US, worth a shot. My dad contacted Spaghetti Girl and wanted to pick up the laptop just in time for my birthday. He had to wait for his paycheck. Rough times. When the day came, he went to the agreed spot but she didn't show up. She called later that day and told my dad that she had to wait for her boyfriend to wipe the hard drive as she didn't trust my dad. My dad assured that he had no intentions to snoop around in her stuff and he could help her with that. After all, he's an IT guy. My boyfriend works for the CIA and he's a hacker. Yeah, right. A CIA hacker in Germany by the name of Hans Huber. Name changed, but a very German name. Okay, fine. She insisted that the laptop still works and just the network port is busted. After 1 week, my dad picked up the laptop, paid the $50 and headed home. He couldn't test it on site because the battery was dead. Back at home, the laptop was, of course, dead. He opened it up and found a mixture of nicotine, coffee and undefined fluids. Close your eyes and imagine the sound of a Velcro strap being pulled open. That was the sound the keyboard made when he tried to lift it up. I still remember that sound because I stood next to him and wanted to get my laptop going ASAP. I cried the whole night. Of course, my dad contacted the pastor lady right away. She insisted that he must have broken it as it worked yesterday, and that she also wanted 10 euros for the bag she gave him with it. My dad was calm on the outside, but he locked up his office door for 4 hours and instructed us to not go in there for the next few days. Finally, after a wall of text, the autopsy. Remember that my dad was an IT administrator at the time? Turns out, he was pretty good at his job. He was a guest lecturer at some universities, held talks about data recovery on conferences, etc. My dad plugged in the still good hard drive into his work PC and had a look. Of course, hacker Hans only had formatted the drive. He recovered some files to look for any logs that would indicate that the laptop had worked yesterday. The last files were from half a year ago, and it wasn't shut down as the dirty bit for Windows was also set. Everything indicated that the laptop was dead for at least half a year. Great work, Hans. On the second evening, when my dad was looking for evidence, he stumbled across some pictures. One of an elderly man with a guitar, a few from the nightclub back in the days. I remember how I heard my dad laugh inside his office, but I wasn't allowed in and the door was locked. That upset me back then. Now I understand the spaghetti incident. She had some pictures taken of her with some spaghetti meticulously rolled up into a circle on her breasts. Lots of spaghetti, with a blob of sauce in the middle to cover up the nipples. Her boyfriend was sitting next to her with some chopsticks. I mean, WHO in the world eats spaghetti with chopsticks, and who pays a photographer to take pictures of that? My dad tried to ask her for the money back and even offered to help and get her files back. Didn't mention the spaghetti pictures. She went on to attack my dad publicly on Facebook. Stuff like, there's this guy, %dad's name %, who tries to blackmail me. What should I do? And no, I don't want your pictures, %dad's name %. And to top it all off, when my boyfriend learns about this, he'll hack you. A few private messages followed. Shut up about that stupid laptop and give me the €10 for the bag, or else I'll tell everyone you wanted to rape me. Also a few insults. My dad had enough of that. He suspended his Facebook account and went silent. He almost lost his job and family over this, but he was smart enough to save all the chat logs with her, so he could prove to my mother and his boss that he wasn't blackmailing anybody, and he wasn't sending nude pictures to anybody. Yet the revenge. After a few months, my dad had a new Facebook account and everything was back to normal. He landed a new job, didn't add his boss on Facebook this time, and didn't use his real name. He even joined the old nightclub alumni group on Facebook to connect with a few friends from back in the days. One beautiful day, he finds a new post in the group by Spaghetti Girl. asking everyone for pictures of the good old days as a thief stole her laptop and tried to blackmail her with deleting the pictures. My dad kindly responded. He had this evil grin on his face when he told me a few days ago, "Oh, hey spaghetti girl. Long time no see. I have quite a lot of pictures from the time. Found them on an old hard drive. Even some of you and your boyfriend at a nice pasta dinner. And a few screenshots with old chat logs. Do you want me to send them to you via PM or should I just share them here?" Nah, just share them here, as you wish. Hey, there's good also news for her. She also got the pictures of her recently deceased father back, the nice gentleman with the guitar, in 160x160 pixels. The fallout, Facebook blew up that day and the weeks after, at least in our little slice of the world. A few things happened. She was dropped by her friends. They all cut ties with her. Turned out, she pulled off a similar thing with a bouncer of that nightclub. Got him fired and expelled from their group of friends. He was the creator of said Facebook group. Noodle Bitch and Chopstick Dick were quickly both tagged in all of the pictures by their former friends. Even her cat was tagged on one of the pictures. Her boyfriend Hans of 12 years recognized one of her tattoos that he paid for. So the picture had to be taken recently. He recognized the bed she was on, but he wasn't the chopstick wielding dude in the picture. He was now Hans Solo. My dad never really looked that much at the pictures, so he didn't see that Spaghetti Queen had laid out quite a bunch of drugs, weed, pills in a Ziploc bag in the background of her pictures. This minor detail was discovered by the chopstick master's current girlfriend, who of course told the police. CPS. Jugendamt in Germany, and both of their parents' police couldn't do much. Their kids were taken away for a while. I don't know what happened afterwards. A few colleagues of her saw that post. She quit her dream job of being a cashier at Aldi. Soon after that she had to move out of Hans' flat. She moved across the country if her new Facebook account is to be believed. She used the name of her cat. I know, I'm being a spiteful prick over this, but I think she got what she deserved. And $50 today. We sold the hard drive and the RAM from the laptop for €30 each afterwards. With the money, my dad bought a used HP desktop for me. Minecraft at 30 FPS. Coming from the Xbox 360. This felt right at home. For my 17th birthday, I got a, back then, brand new computer. Ryzen 1600X. GTX 1060, 16 gigs of RAM and a brand new SSD, with no spaghetti pictures on it. My dad and I still play Minecraft together. He now is a software developer at a bigger company and we have no concerns about money. Not rich, but not paycheck to paycheck. Not all heroes wear capes, but my dad does. He went to Dominican. I know, it was pretty long. Hope it was worth your time. Greetings from Germany. Chris edit. A few clarifications. We were in a pinch financially because we had to pay double rent because we moved recently. My mother lost her job and our car broke down. That was a bit too much and it took a few months to recover. My dad of course opened the lid of the laptop when picking it up. Everything visible without disassembling the computer looked fine. The Velcro moment was when he took it apart to see if it was an easy fix like a blown fuse on the input circuit. Some of you pointed out that Facebook Marketplace was introduced in 2016. However, people have been selling stuff on FB for years. There were buy plus sell groups before that. For me, everything bought from Facebook was from the FB Marketplace. So I might have mixed that up when writing today. I learned people do eat spaghetti with chopsticks. I didn't want to judge you guys. In Germany this is very uncommon. The revenge where a lying and cheating bitch gets her life turned upside down, ruined. My favorite kind. Threatening to accuse him of rape was what sealed the deal. She was already evil, but contributing to the diluting of the believability of people who really are victims of that crime, as well as utterly destroying the reputation and life of a good man, father and husband with dependents. Just threatening to do that is satanic. Hey, leave Satan out of this. He doesn't deserve being compared to her. That was some nice revenge, wouldn't you say? Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily videos. This is the Reddit Medic. It's a goddamn pandemic. Sub for daily videos. And don't forget to spread it. Exit. Peace.